What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Jaff Man. I'm your host, Jaff. Today I want to talk to you about, was it really worth leaving Intel? You see, as I've explained before, I've been a 6700K user, 8 core, 8 threads. I've been a 6700K user, 6 core. Man, getting used to Ryzen, I'm too used to counting and quoting too many threads. 4 cores, 8 threads, whereas now we have 8 cores and 16 threads. So the point of this video really is to depict to many people, is it really worth leaving Intel? And in a short answer, yes it is. For the price to performance value, for the performance to dollar ratio that a lot of these popular YouTubers are so caught up on explaining, for everything really, and surprisingly even gaming, especially video editing and making these videos. My render times, I kid you not, are about half. Now, I don't have a perfect test setup. I don't have the most controlled test method means, but I'm just your average user. Just like many of the people who watch these types of videos. If I do look like I'm sweating, I really am, because it's like 30 degrees at 11 o'clock in the evening in the UK. We're having a bit of a heat wave. But putting that aside, why is it worth leaving Intel? Do I regret leaving Intel? What is it that I'm not happy with after the move? You see, I have moved to Team Red. I was a bit of an early adopter. There are some niggly problems. It feels like an unpolished product. Kind of like you're buying a brand new car but the wheels aren't balanced. You know it's got the performance, you know it's got the ability to really do well, but because of them unbalanced wheels, it just really bothers you, doesn't give you the most confidence in every situation, especially when you're pushing it some, because that's when you notice vibrations in cars and unbalanced wheels. So with this analogy, I'm going to try explain why AMD and why Ryzen 3000 seems to be somewhat of an unpolished product. I was actually able to get a 4.4 GHz all-core overclock without doing too much myself in terms of manual overclocking, leaving the precision boost enabled via the BIOS, just upping the voltage and the power delivery profiles, which means how much power the processor is allowed to tap into at any given time for any instructions sent to it by the computer. It was able to boost to 4.4. I can't replicate this. I can't show you exactly how to repeat this process, but it happened. It boosted above the quoted boost speeds, clock speeds. This is not something that's very common in Ryzen 3000, because you might have already known by now with the ton of 3900X videos that it barely struggles to reach 4.6, if at all, if ever. The fact that the 3700X, albeit with being over power management profiles, not in Windows but motherboard, and overvolted a little bit, 1.375, not the end of the world. I would even go as far as to say maybe I'm going to push it further because I have adequate cooling. If you don't, I would say push the voltage to a limit of 1.45, see how it affects your performance, your benchmarks, your gaming, as long as you're happy with the temperatures based on your available cooling methods. Now, if your cooling method is the thing that comes in the box, I wouldn't really worry, because a lot of people have managed to compare the Wraith RGB cooler that comes out of the box to a 280 or a 240mm AIO. And for a small air cooler that comes included within the box, I believe that's great efficiency for something that practically comes for free, although I don't want it to come in the box and claimed to be free. But that's another rant. I'd rather have the processor cheaper. A lot of you would too, because we might be adopting fancy cooling methods, like in the build vid that I done a week or so ago, shown up here. You see, I would have probably stuck to Team Blue had it not been for having to upgrade the stupid motherboard again. From a 6700K, 7700K you could probably use on the Z170, but then when it came to a significant upgrade, the 8700K, and worth maybe upgrading, you had to change your motherboard. That put me off, so I just lived with it. And then when it came to a point I really had to upgrade, I'd have to change a motherboard anyway. Ryzen 3000 was so hyped for the last few months, I couldn't help but become an early adopter. I had to give it a go since I was changing out the processor anyways. And sorry, since I was going to have to change out the motherboard anyways. And oh my god, I have to tell you, forget what all the benchmarks say, this thing is bloody awesome. Provided you can get it to work the way you want it to. Now, when I say that, I mean maintaining boost clocks, and for that you're going to have to up the power profiles in the motherboard as well as some voltage. The RAM is running stable with somewhat tight timings at 3600 at 1.45 volts. Now, it has got an overkill cooling method, dominators, so I don't worry about temperatures, but depending on your RAM, if it's B-die, under load is going to perform very well between 40 and 60 degrees. Anything above or below, for some reason, B-die is a bit finicky. RAM on its own is the single best performance upgrade that you can squeeze out of Ryzen. You can get somewhere between 10 and 15% FPS, gaming FPS improvements
at multiple resolutions
just by running 3600 volts. 3600 megahertz. That's going to boost your performance significantly, and if you haven't done this, I would suggest. So that's just some things I did to squeeze the most performance out of Ryzen at this stage. A lot of the BIOS implementations are rubbish, and hopefully over the next coming months we'll have better BIOSes, more ability to push it, not too much, maybe squeeze out a 4.6, a 4.7 if we're lucky. Probably not going to happen, but even a stable 4.5, 4.6 based on the gaming performance I'm already getting, it's probably going to be quite noticeable in terms of paper measured gains. In real world gaming, 5-6 FPS not always going to matter, but I've made this point about was it worth leaving Team Red, and I've said at the beginning, yes it was. I think the day that it's going to be worth leaving Team Green, Nvida, is not too far away. The 5700 XT performance is respectable at its given price bracket, and if AMD finally figure out how to improve gaming performance with their graphics cards, as they have improved CPU performance with their processors, I think AMD is going to end up taking over a lot more of the market than we could have ever imagined. Now, this doesn't really mean that Intel's out of the picture, and not by a long stretch. They still have majority market share, although they're losing some day by day, but their new 10 nanometer processors, when they come out next year, may blow Intel out of the water. Even if they do, I'll probably be sticking to AMD because the X470 motherboard is going to be probably enough to support the Zen 2 or the Zen 3, the next processor that comes out in 2020 by AMD. They've already confirmed the same socket compatibility. After that, you're probably going to have to get an all new motherboard. There'll be no row. There'll be no way around it because the socket is going to change. So that was just your average guy enthusiast's view on was leaving Intel worth it. And again, yes it was. So, if you have anything to add, if you're an Intel fanboy and give me the dislikes in my videos, if you're an AMD fanboy or another adopter like me, if you've got any views to share, talk to me in the comments below. And as always, if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button. It motivates me to keep creating content. So until I make another video, I'll catch you guys in the next one.